Okay, everybody. Thanks for being on tonight. We are going to talk about one of my very favorite um, topics when it comes to mindset, because we know that mindset matters. And I'm really pumped about this and talking about this evening. I think that when you think about mindset and when you think about network marketing and when you think about Plexus in general, that you have this. It's a buzzword that keeps being talked around. Everybody's talking about your mindset, your mindset, your mindset. And even recently, it's kind of trended off to poverty mindset versus abundance mindset. So if a person coming onto your team doesn't know the ins and outs of mindset, it's really good to help them start out of the gate with the right mindset, right? I think too many times people come into network marketing thinking that it's one thing, but it's really another. And we all know that in network marketing, we talked about how we grow and we become better leaders, but man, we're exposed, right, to a lot of our shortcomings. And if we're not careful, our mindset gets kind of caught in this rut. Like, well, it's good for everybody else, but it's not good for me. And so I'm really excited to jump in this. I thought this was an amazing and really good chapter. It's funny how this is for introducing people to network marketing, but it's been such a good reminder and refresher for me. And I think he has so many good things to say about mindset. So I'll go ahead and jump in a little bit. He talks at the very beginning, he says, in network marketing, the playing field is level, the opportunity is the same, but the person's mindset is what makes the difference. And I think that's so key because every single one of us have the same products at our disposal. Every single one of us have the same back office and the same tools. But some people, I think some people tend to want to find reasons about their network marketing company or Plexus of why they're not succeeding. But man, it's really introspective and saying, well, what is my mindset? Am my mindset to a place where I'm going to succeed, that I'm going to do the work, that I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to value the work, I'm going to value people. And so I think it's huge. And it's if you can, I promise you, I think you can take two people who are in Plexus and sort them out on the very same day. And if the one person's mindset is really strong and they're confident in their abilities or their teachability, okay, and they have a really driven mindset and they're confident, and you have the other person who is not so confident and their mindset's very weak, I promise you, you check in on them in 90 days and they're going to be at different places. And so I believe that, like what Maxwell says, that that mindset is really the difference maker. It unlocks opportunity. He quotes David Schwartz a lot in other books, but he quotes him here. He says, people are measured by the size of their thinking. I love that. I love that. The size of our thinking, how we think about ourselves, how we think about other people, our mindset when we approach things. So right off the bat, there's a lot to talk about, but I want to just open it up a little bit and see if any of you, if anything in this first couple of sections kind of caught your eye, and we can jump around if you like. I've got plenty of notes here to walk through, but if you want to, if there's anything that popped out at you that you just want to right out the gate talk about, we can. Mindset.
I just like how Mr. Maxwell puts things very simply for us. He even says he's like a simple man, and so then he gives us some words like, here's where you could be if you are just average, but here's where you could be if you are more successful. And it's very simple, but the gap in between can be kind of big. But we can look at it and go, oh, okay. I really like that he's just very simple and straightforward with us for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I think if it's is it? I mean, Cass have to correct me. I've lost his name. Legacy leaders. Bob Heibel. Bob Heilig. Mixing pastors and motivational leaders. Bob Heilig says it's not about the grand big steps, but the baby steps. You do all the small steps to get to the goal, you know. And I love that because I don't know about you, but I can my mindset's much better whenever I can quantify those smaller steps. I don't know you, I like list. And when I achieve something, I'm like, yes, I did that, and I feel good. You know, I feel like that's other than having this big lofty goal out there, you know, that like, okay, I'll get there, but I don't do the small steps towards it. So I love that. Yeah, simplicity is great. I love that. Anybody else?
I think for me, this is one of the things I've had to work the hardest on.
Hmm.
Because I just worry about what people think, and I'm getting there, but every so often it still creeps in. But I feel like I'm super good at looking at someone and being like, okay, you need to change your mindset. Here's what you need to do. This and this. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Do this. Do that. But I can't do it for myself like I do for them. I'm getting better. But I was listening to Brooke Hemingway the other day on the Rank Up video, and she's like, there's no emotion in this. Just send the dang thing. Just send the dang message. Don't put any emotion in it. Just send it. Boom, done, go. And I was like, wow. So I've been doing that all weekend, like no emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, a heartfelt message, but no emotion tied to it, like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think? I'm worried about this. I'm anxious about it. I just hit the send button.
Yeah. Oh, Terry, I love that, Terry.
I thought that too, Terry, because I remember thinking, I remember what Brooke said, like you leave the drama out of it. And then as I've been trying to work on developing silvers, it is so much easier for me to help other people's people than like recruiting my own people sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could think so much clearer and straighter for that. So it's been crazy how this is all kind of tied together. I love it.
Yeah. I love that. Terry, can I pick on you for a second? Okay. When you say that you still struggle sometimes, and I think, by the way, it's a plague for all of us. I don't care how strong your mindset is. I don't care. Oh, I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not trying to get people like me. Every single person who is breathing at some level has that hesitation going, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? What are they going to, whatever. Because we like to be liked. We do. It's a good thing to be liked, right? And that's not a bad thing. So I'm going to pick on you for a second. When you say that's a struggle, is it just potentials, or is it people, peers? Is it family? Like, who are those categories of people that's maybe, like, I don't know about you, but I've got categories of people that it doesn't bother me what they think. Yeah. And then I've got a category of people that, what are they, I'm a little bit more careful. Do you have that?
Yeah, I do. So I think it's completely wrapped into my Plexus business. And I don't know, I want to say it's because I think I don't have enough experience, because all these other things I do at work, I have no problem telling people at all how it is. I have no problem telling them at church. I have no problem telling them at the golf tournament what to do for volunteers. Like, right. I have no anxious feelings about those at all. And I guess I don't really care if they like me or not, because maybe I think they already do, or they have to. Okay. Like at work, they don't really have a choice because I sign their paycheck. So I feel like they have to like me.
Sure.
But for definitely it's in Plexus. It's my ambassadors, it's my customers, it's my team, all of those.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you have mastery in these other areas. You have mastered and have confidence in work, at church, with whomever outside of Plexus. You have mastered those relationships or those things, but you feel like maybe, and this is a mindset thing, right? You feel like you haven't mastered that in Plexus, and maybe even hit a goal in Plexus that maybe you think gets you into that level of mastery to where you have that looming of confidence. But I would like to just speak a little bit life into you and say that where you've gotten to, Terry, is incredible. Okay. And I don't know anybody on our team that's not even on your downline, that are, people on your sidelines and people in your upline who love you and think the world of you. But I think it's a lot of has to do with our confidence and how we see things. But I think we constantly have to remind ourselves, I'm pretty awesome. Like, I got here. I'm here. I said yes. I did the hard things. I sent the hard messages. I went to the events. I got the training because I value me and I value other people. And so can I tell you, it doesn't change no matter what level you get to, though, in network marketing. No matter what level you get to. Cassie and I entered into Jules going, what are we doing? What are we how did we get here? We don't know at all what we're doing. Cassie hit diamond going, like it took like probably 3 months for Cassie to go like, oh yeah, I'm a diamond. Like but the thing is, I think it's just a shift between going, why can we not shift the mastery part that we have over here in the other parts of our lives to Plexus? Well, because it's time, consistency, and so we just haven't put enough time into it. Not that you don't put enough time into it. I mean, is we haven't been in there longer than you have the
Right.
other things, right?
Right.
So there's ease to it, a confidence in it, a strive, and it gets there. But I just always curious because when I think about who I still am hesitant or what they'll think about me, I always have to go back and ask the question, well, why is that? Like, why do I not care what some people think? Why do I care what other people think? And most times it comes down with confidence and mastery in whatever arena that relationship's in, So that's good though. Thank you. Thank you for letting me pick on you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I can't speak enough. I don't think I could spend the rest of my days just speaking belief into Terry Mosley because I think of so much. So there's plenty to talk about. He goes into the right mindset. I like this. So the number one thing for the right mindset is the right mindset creates a foundation of good results. And that is so true. Good thoughts and good actions equal positive results. I think that's awesome. And I will say this with Plexus, when we're stuck, we often think, I'll never get through this time, right? I'll never get through this time. But instead, I think maybe we should change our mindset that how can I grow through this time? I'll never get through this. Or instead of change our mindset, okay, I'm going to grow through. I'm in a lull. And when we're in a lull, we're like, well, this is it. This is where I've hit the ceiling. I'm not going anywhere. Versus, no, how do I grow through this? How do I grow past this point? Instead of saying, well, I'm just stuck in this point. So anyway, what do you guys think? Have you felt this little first, and we can talk about the first couple, but he says the right mindset creates a foundation of good results. The right mindset increases your potential, and the right mindset is intentional. And I really want to hit that last one here in a minute, but any thoughts on that first section? And have you seen mindset affect your productivity? I've seen a lot of this. Okay, good. I can be that teacher and start calling on you. Cassie, what do you think? Has your mindset affected your productivity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for a long time I just thought like you're supposed to like always be on a high in your business. Like you should always be recruiting like crazy. You should not I came from early fast momentum. And so when I hit my first lull, all of a sudden my mindset tanked because my worth and my value was wrapped up into my performance. And so I was kind of confronted with having to really change my mindset about activity, about productivity, about worth, about all of that, learning, that I am only in control of my work. I'm not in control of the results, and that points and that rank do not define me as a leader. And I think that the first time I went backwards in points, that was again like that time that's when I had to grow like crazy with my mindset of really understanding that my points and my kind of the measurement of our business does not actually mean success a lot of times. And that Brooke Hemingway at her retreat really helped me this last couple of weeks of she played a song for us that it's like this techno song. I played it for Kyle. It's really funny, but it's like this techno song and it gets like super fast and like really crazy, kind of like I don't know, just techno music. And then it goes into like real slow, like it slows down. And she did like this exercise where I have it videotaped, where she was like running like crazy during the fast parts. And then she like falls on the floor exhausted. in the point where it's slow. And then she just equated it to her business. And she was like, there are moments, she's like, okay, like you're up, you're running as hard as you can. She's like, when she was going diamond the first time, she was like, I was on fire. I was running so fast. And then I hit a brick wall, and, and she falls down, and she's like, and then I had to pick myself up, and I had to get back in it. And she was like, sometimes I was crawling. Sometimes people were carrying me. And then it like speeds back up, and she's like, here we go. We're going again. And like talking about like your business has seasons. And that has been the biggest thing for me with mindset, is understanding that there is seasons in our business. There's seasons in our personal life. And that your season doesn't define you. I loved it. I just thought it was super helpful, because I think that there's times where you're like, I'm not sponsoring anybody, and you start feeling like a failure, and you start like feeling like, what are you even doing? Like, this isn't going to work. And she's like, that mindset has to stay the same in the lull and in the momentum. So that was just really helpful to see a double diamond sharing that it's a normal thing to go backwards in points. She shared like she went backwards in points, and that's just so good to hear. I think sometimes when you're like, you start comparing yourself and your mindset tanks.
Yeah. And if you're not careful, that poor mindset, you'll get stuck. No one got unstuck by a bad mindset. No one gets unstuck by going, oh, well, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. That isn't any way taking a step forward, beyond that point where you're at. And a lot of us sometimes shut down, or we'll isolate, or we'll just, and then, 6 weeks go by and we're like, well, we haven't changed at all. Well, because you haven't changed anything you're doing, and your mindset. So I love that. And we all have seasons, and we all walk through seasons. So yeah, that's really good. I want to hit real quick. He says, the right mindset is intentional. And can I tell you, like, that is so true, but also it is something I struggle with, but I did not even really know what self-talk was until I entered Plexus, and I started learning what self-talk meant. And it's, I always thought, and I'll just be really honest, I always thought the idea of having a positive mindset and trying to get yourself there was a little bit self-defeating, in the sense I didn't really believe it. I didn't believe you could actually do that until I started actually doing it, until I started actually intentionally saying, I am not going to let this situation, this season, this issue control me. I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to see the good in it. I'm going to go through it. And so a mindset is so intentional, and self-talk is so healthy for you. And even the smallest bit of self-talk of going, well, I just am not good at this, versus I'm going to get better at this. There's such a different amount of energy you put into that. There's a different heart position you put into that. And so I think that mindset is so intense. Mindset is, and it's not like attitude. I think mindset is so different. It's not contagious. Mindset isn't contagious. Cassie can be super positive and have a great mindset, and I could just be on the other spectrum of it, and I won't come around to that mindset unless I intentionally choose to be there. Does that make sense? So, anyway, any thoughts before we move on? Anybody had any?
I wanted to share a little something.
Yeah.
Listening to Bob Heilig's mindset his podcast, and one thing. So even though you may be having a good mindset, it doesn't mean that the negative thoughts don't still come. And trying to fight, I was like, okay, I have to have a good mindset. Like, why am I keep thinking about this negative thing, or it keeps coming? And like, I was just like fighting that. And I realized when he was talking was that they're going to come, and that's normal. It is normal for negative thoughts to come in, because that's just how we're programmed. I can't remember the amount of negative versus positive thoughts that we have, but it's more. But realizing that, not fighting that, let it come in, but don't stay thinking about those thoughts. Turn them around, acknowledge them, and then move on. But I just realized I was fighting against it because I was like upset with myself that I was having these negative thoughts, but that is normal. Just don't keep thinking that and stay in those. And so that just was like an aha moment for me to realize that it is normal for that to happen. Just don't continue and fester in those.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a saying in our church that goes, it's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay to stay there. It's okay, right? It's okay not to be okay. It's all right. It's very normal. I love what you said. That it's a very normal thing. And I think it's a freeing thing, right? When you hear that, like in Cassie talking about Brooke Hemingway or other people that have that kind of those hurdles too to get over, you're like, well, that normalizes it for me because that's, and if they conquered it, so can I. I love that.
I had a huge moment last night. So I feel like I look drunk, but I'm just kind of, I'm not. I shot a wedding yesterday, like a 12-hour gig, and I didn't get home till like midnight. And then today I had to work the concession stand at a football game for 5 hours. I'm like, really? When do those two things ever go together in my life? But they did this weekend. So I'm kind of slurring. I just think my mind's like in overload, But anyway, so yesterday I had this does relate. So I don't lose you at the beginning of like, why is she talking about photography? But yesterday I had the opportunity to like second shoot with my favorite photographer ever. Like she's like award-winning, she is very positioned and good at what she does. So I worked with her yesterday. And so, on the way, I started feeling that mindset of like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Like, what am I, where you just kind of felt like, have I earned this place here? Like, how am I shooting with her? Like, am I gonna, and then when we arrived at the wedding, it was a full trust. Like she was like, hey, you're over here. I'm over here. You get this. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna be by myself over here. Like this is, and so then I went over and I had to shoot with the groomsmen's. Well, the altar, like right where they were gonna get married was right there. And I just had this moment where like my mindset, like I started going like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't get like this is her thing? What if I don't get what she wants? And I looked up and I see they had this Viking wedding. It was a strange ordeal. There's a Viking sword and just antlers. There was just a lot of things staring in my face when I looked up. And I say that because in my life, since I have started Plexus, I have like business, I have had more intensity and chaos than it's been a constant. And I look up and I see all this chaos on the altar. I'm like, this is so bizarre. And I looked up and I just felt like the Spirit of the Lord say like you earned this place. Like use your gifts, do this. And I just looked up and I was like, it was kind of like in this moment, I just shifted and I was like, I'm not her, but I'm me. And yes, I have worked for this place and I'm here. And I think that when I, as that went on and then I shot for 8 hours and today I had some moments in the sweet concession stand with just some different people who were saying different things. Like, I feel like that looking up at that chaotic altar just kind of was preparing my spirit. And tonight, as I was, just kind of looking back over the chapter and looking at stuff, when I saw like that commitment is key, and I thought, there are aspects in our journey where we are always going to look up and be like, am I still earning this space? Because man, especially when we look at Plexus, like my points aren't still there. I don't know that I'm still earning this place. Like we always have a belonging in whatever space that we're in because we are somebody that holds value and purpose and capability. And so if we can just own that story, no matter what part that we're on. Tonight, as I was blow drying my daughter's hair, she just looks up at me. I mean, seriously, we were not talking about it. She just looked up at me with her hair blowing. She said, hey, Mom, we learned a super word this week. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, what's your word? She goes, it's the word yet. She said, I may not be this now. No, I may not be this yet, but I'm learning and I'm working. I'm going to get there. And I was like, I'm like looking around and I'm like, wow, that was really specific. So I feel that, like, I loved how you guys made mention that, yeah, love that you said, Kyle, mindset's not contagious, because I think that we want it to be. Kelly, how you're like, yeah, like with mindset, like we can still have negativity and struggle in that. And I've been doing a business for 5 years, and I found myself Saturday in this brief moment feeling like I've never done it before in my life. I'm like, got my camera and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, am I on the right setting? I don't know, because I was looking at somebody else. I was looking at her capability, her status, like where she's at. And I was like, and I lost like all that I had been building into myself and where I was. And so I think that especially when it relates to Plexus, man, we're going to always have that journey where somebody won the trip that we didn't, or somebody made more money that, man, their PV actually got them more money, even though I had more points. Like there's always that aspect of life that we can attach to when it comes to mindset. But yet I think, so for me, I feel like when I thought about mindset, I thought about mindset to me means that the words that he said, I am always coachable, I am always teachable, and I'm always like worthy of my belonging. Because when I have a mindset, when I am worthy and I belong to be there, then I can do anything, because that superpower word of yet is keeping me growing, and I'm not feeling like I shouldn't be there. Like, no, I'm supposed to be here. But yet when our mindset shifts and we feel like, man, Kyle and Cassie hit diamond and like, we're just never going to get there, then we have already thrown the word yet out, and we're not even listening to your journey. So like with that, I had that moment, and then my friend, my photographer friend, I watched her troubleshoot some areas that I'm like, man, she's still troubleshooting. That was challenging, and I was able to contribute in that. I was like, oh my gosh, that happened to me last week it was like a camera glitch, it was fine. But when you see that, you're like, we are all real people and real stories that are all just trying to apply, like being dream builders and being successful people. But it takes that superpower word of yet to create mindset, because we always have a yet in some part of our journey, always.
Yeah. I love that. And there's so many, that's the title of my next book, Yet.
Is it?
I'm claiming
I love that superpower. Can you like add the stage in there?
Yeah.
She can give testimony.
I will dedicate it to her, and that's awesome. I love it. Yet.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's so good. I think I love the idea of value and worthy as a mindset. I think that's so good. When we were at convention this last year, Justin Goff and I are in the back. We're about to walk on stage from Sapphire, and he goes, somebody had mentioned how nervous they are. And I said, yeah, I said, this is worse than speaking in front of people, kind of just stand there, and all eyes on you, and, second, leg of the company. And he reached over, and he's if you ever get to meet Justin Goff, he's a big dude, tall. He's got these big man hands, and he put his hand on my shoulder, took up like half my shoulder. Right. And he's like, you didn't get here by accident. You're worthy to be here. Let's go do this. And I thought that was that was a cool moment, and that was a cool moment. I've got to experience a couple of those. Cassie had a moment like that for me when I got to speak at a conference, and there was a big name that was after me, and Voskamp, and I was like, I don't belong here. And she's like, yeah, you do belong here. And, I think it's, whether it's in the small things or the big things, like having that worthiness mindset and the intentionality of that is great. You did mention being teachable and coachable, and he does go through that. I really appreciated that part of the book as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's a choice to be teachable, a choice to be coachable, to be positive, persistent. But the first thing he talks about is also to be realistic. And I think sometimes, and as we're kind of wrapping up our session here for the last few minutes, last quarter of this, I'd like to say, just kind of entered into this idea that I want us to be really careful. Mindset is a wonderful and beautiful thing if it's bound in reality too as well. That's where we have to start out with, at least. It's great to dream. It's great to have goals. It's great to have vision. But I think a lot of time people will often say, well, I have a really positive mindset but I didn't get the diamond in 6 weeks. Well, nobody could do that. That's impossible. So let's be realistic, or I really wanted to sign 100 people. But I have, I'm not on Facebook, or I don't like talking to people. Okay, well, let's start with 2, let's go silver. And that kind of thing. I think it's okay. It's wonderful to have a positive mindset that you can conquer the world, but it's also good to start in reality. And you might be there yet, right, where you want to be, like Trisha said, but it's good to start and to be realistic. And I love what he says here about reality. He says that know your map, and reality is the foundation to your dream. And he talks about this a little bit, and he talked about this when we were in Atlanta too. I love that. Whenever you go to Disney World, whenever you go to a theme park, whenever you go to anywhere that's a large compound and people are all over the place, and they have those maps, right? The mall, whatever, and you see that little dot on there and it says, you are here. I love that, because in the mindset thing, you are at one place. You don't want to stay there. You want to be somewhere else. You want to get to that destination, that location, that next level. But it's good to know where you're at, because if you think you're somewhere where you're not, then you may never get to where you're going. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to talk in riddles, but I mean that's really how it is. If you think that you are at a certain place, but you're not bound in reality, you don't know where you're at, and you don't know where to go. So you are here. I like that idea of having a mental map of where you are in your mindset, in your business, in your emotions. And so anyway, anybody, I was going to just open up a little bit. What do you think about the developing piece? So he talked about at first the right mindset to have, but he then goes into developing an intentional mindset, and he talks about choosing to be realistic, choosing to be coachable, be teachable, be positive, and be persistent. Any thoughts on some of those?
I'll talk if
Go for it.
somebody lets me. He's watching a movie back here. I love hope. I've been living with hope for a really long time. And the average people and successful people, I'm that like, I just hope it all happens and it's just going to work out and be fine. And it's been really hard to be realistic, I guess, and with myself, because it's pretty fun to just live in that happy bubble and not really like look at the numbers. And I don't want to see who just quit again. And I don't want to do any of that stuff. And it's not getting me any further in my business. And so I've realized that I'm at a point where I can't bury my head in the sand anymore. And so I need to figure out what I need to do to get my butt in gear and like really make changes, because I've been pretty happy sitting in this spot and just doing what I do. And so, yeah, there's a lot in here that I was like, I do mindset, I'm feeling good. And then I got to this chapter and I was like, yikes, no, I'm not. I am not doing what I need to be doing. So,
but I think there's something to say about being uncomfortably comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in a sense that I think it's really comfortable to be uncomfortable sometimes. And I think that's where you're at. You just said, I had a lot of hope, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with an abundance of hope. I don't know, FYI.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I love that. But also the clouds are reality, of course. But I love sometimes whenever we're led to be uncomfortable in our comfort, because it pushes us along, to go. And I love that you recognize that. I mean, I think that's cool. Can I ask where you're at on the Enneagram? Now I'm really curious.
Oh, I'm a 9. Is that right?
All right, sister. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when you said I live in hope, I'm a dreamer, I'm comfortable, I'm like, she's a 9. She's me. So that's awesome. Yeah, I found another 9. I don't find any other 9s ever. So
really? We're sitting at the top though, looking down on everyone, right?
Down on everybody. Don't you wish you were up here with us, making sure everybody happy? So
yep. Yes. Yep.
Okay, now I'm curious. What is your husband?
I don't know. He's never done it.
Okay.
Whatever the total opposite is.
Whatever that's okay. But I'm married
Yeah.
I'm married to an 8, and it leads to some really. I've been reading a little bit about the 9 and 8 marriage, and we made it 15 years. So we're gonna keep banking on that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you. That's great sharing. I want to bring up something real quick. He talks about being positive, choosing to be positive, and I've really been kind of looking into and reading about and just thinking on the idea of negative energy and how much negative mindset, negative energy just sucks your soul, and it is so repelling to be negative. So I'm going to tell on Cassie and I a little bit, if that's okay. I'm going to do this. Okay. So there will be times when we know we need to make a video. We know we have to make this video. But if we are not in the right mindset with one another, if we are not in the right mindset together, and we try to make the video, you can feel it in the video. And it's just truth. And now it happens very rarely. But it's really funny. We have learned now that we will get almost to the video to make it. We've hit record a couple of times. It didn't work out. Cassie usually is the one because she's more bound in reality than I am. And she said, we need to back up, but we need to come back to this later when we're both in a better mindset. Okay, that's fine. That's what we'll do. Because I'm like, we can push through it. We can get it done. No big deal. And so it's funny how if you're negative, I don't know about you, but negativity really repels me. Like I don't like being around it. I think that's that 9 in me, right? That being an Enneagram 9, I don't like being around it. But can I tell you, when we're negative, I think it not only affects our attitude, our mindset, but I think it really affects our heart position too as well. And it really makes it hard to care for people when we're negative, even though we may try to be. And I grew up in an environment of complaining, if I can say that. Where everyone else was wrong. Everybody else was wrong. Your teacher was wrong. Your coach don't know what they're talking about. You're wrong. Whatever. And the people in my family, in my life knew best, right? And it was such a negative place that almost they found their positivity in negativity. Does that make sense? And it's so weird to build relationships like that. It's so weird to build foundations. So I really wanted to speak to this because if you're building your mindset, if you're building your character, your relationships based on negativity, then it's going to be pretty cancerous, I think, to you and to your business. So any thoughts on that? Sorry, I put mute a little bit too soon.
Well, it's one thing we were actually talking about at our Align retreat, as I bring that up again, but it was such a huge part of, we talked a lot about energy and how joy is contagious. And if we are wanting to be people that attract people to our business, if we want to attract people into our lives, if we want to, just be the light, that we talk about being health and happiness company. And there are certain people in my life that are just joyful, that you're just around them and you're like, I just can't stop smiling, because you're one of those people, when you have so much joy inside you, it reflects it to everyone else. And, Christy Jex, I don't know if you guys have ever met her. She's a diamond, and she is one of those people in my life that is just pure joy. She and I stood next to each other on the stage when we got our diamonds, and she is somebody that has truly pushed me outside of my comfort zone and really made me really take a deep look at, I have joy in my heart, but am I exuding it? Is it overflowing from me? And one of the things we did at the retreat was have this massive dance party. And I'm going to be really honest. they scheduled this for a purpose, and I was super awkward, and I was so like out of my comfort zone. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. But they did this because like every session, we had to have a dance party before every session. I mean, it was like music and dance party before every single thing. And Brooke was really intentional about it, saying like, this is putting your heart in the right place. This is being joyful. This is living life. And so it radically changed me as a person. And it's the weirdest thing. It sounds super weird to have a dance party and totally changed me. But it's true. I came home and I told Kyle, I said, for the first time in my life, like I just didn't care. I didn't care what people thought about me. I was a super awkward, like dancing, but it was so freeing just to enjoy life and to let that joy come out. And to like, because we talked about like, no matter where we're at in our business, like we need to have gratitude, whether we're in a valley, whether we're on the mountaintop, like we need to have gratitude for where we've been and where we're at. And that, like, I don't know, the whole joy thing, I've just always been like, oh yeah, I'm joyful, I'm grateful. But to actually like let it pour out was something that was very different for me.
Yeah.
And I'm learning. I told Kyle, I'm actually coming, like, I signed up for this dance class. I'm going to do like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do like hip hop dance class and all that, y'all. Because like Christy, she is so funny. She was like, Cassie, like, you have to learn to just enjoy your life. And like, for some reason I had that block of like, but I don't want to let go. And so she's making me sign up for a dance class. So,
oh my gosh, I so wish I lived with you. I would do that with you.
I know. I'm going to be like, I tried to get Kyle, but I did tell Kyle, I said, we're going to go to the club. We're actually going to go dancing. And we're going to like.
Take it to the club, man.
I'm all about having more fun in my life.
You better be cautious taking me to the club. I might might just start flocking to me with all my moves, throwing their phone numbers at me and everything. So.
Cassie, if you want to make a video about the Align retreat or something, I was stalking everyone so hard. I was so excited for you guys to be there because, first of all, it was a gorgeous place from what we could see picture-wise. And then I just knew that you guys were going to learn so much during that time. So.
And it's one of those, I literally, like, I was just like, I don't even know how to process what.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, Cass, you said she's going to do others in the future and open it up to everybody, right? I mean, it's.
Well, we don't. Maybe. She hasn't released.
Yeah, but I mean, there's talks of maybe doing that. So.
But a lot of it was. So we got like workbooks, and we're gonna start implementing a lot of that through the team, and like we'll do trainings on some of the workbook stuff. But so much of it was like deep, personal. Like transformation that I walked away like literally I'm still at like I came home and I told Kyle, I said, I have no idea how to even tell you what just happened. It was the most transformational thing I've ever been a part of, and yet I don't know how to explain it. But the workbooks and all her systems are so incredible. They're so, I mean, simple, but incredibly she's just brilliant. Yeah. And what she's created, the culture, that's one of the things, the culture on her team, every one of them was just up dancing all around, like break dancing all over the place. And I'm like, this team knows how to have fun. Like they are a family, like enjoying each other. And I was just like, okay, like there's a lot about joy. Joy is.
Yeah. It's funny. I think about the last couple of conventions and, that one of the last evenings, you get to pick the different dance areas or whatever. And some of my favorite parts of the convention is being with the team and just letting loose and having fun and doing that moment with your ambitions a little bit lower, and not worrying about, your guard down and everything. So, but I think there's something to say about joy. And unlike mindset, I think joy is contagious, quite frankly. But I want to honor your time tonight, and so I do want to kind of start wrapping it out. Thank you so much for all of you for contributing. I want to tell you though, when it comes to negativity or mindset or whatever, when it comes to other people and how they first see you, because I think when we think of mindset, we often go to how I think of myself, but also mindset can be affected by how you think other people, interpret you. And can I tell you, you're going to be misinterpreted. It doesn't matter how good intentional you are going to be. People will see not always the best in you, even though you're putting your best out. They're going to misinterpret your actions, your words, why you did something. And regardless of that, your worth and your value cannot be measured in the eyes of other people. It's impossible. I've lived too much of my life like that, and it's miserable. And so when you walk into a room and maybe there are people that maybe have misinterpreted you in the past, or when you're feeling not so confident in yourself in Plexus or in life in general, I just want to encourage you to really see not only the value in yourself, but also that you are God's workmanship, that you have been created with unique gifts. And when you're operating in those gifts, you will thrive and you will find joy in that. And nobody can really take that away from you. And I really believe that it's with a really strong mindset and a really good heart position, that it's really hard for someone else to disrupt that and disturb that. And so anyway, we see the best in you and we think you're amazing and awesome. But I also just want to let you know that mindset is not easy. It's not an easy task. And you're going to want to hear the whispers, or we always think people, are talking about us or thinking the worst about us. And those situations usually don't come to reality. But we want to be our own worst enemy sometimes. And, oh, what are they thinking? Or I could have done that better, or I could. And I love I'm just going to steal what Tricia said earlier. You could have done that better, and you will do that better. Yet you just haven't gotten there yet, and you will, And so have that yet moment, I guess, in your life where you understand that you're going to grow through this season. So anyway, you all are wonderful. You have amazing value. We love you so much. And we will not see you next week. Next Sunday, we are taking off, but we will reconvene the following Sunday. And I'll put it in our chat group to inform everybody. But we are taking the week off next Sunday because we won't be here. So we will be away in Hawaii. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful couple of weeks, and know you're amazing, and we will talk to you soon.
Safe travels.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
So much fun.
Well.